Hi everyone, this is Ivy. And before I go into the presentation, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my process. So I did some research on the topic, and that accompanied with my work experience and honestly my overwhelming interest in culture and how it impacts various aspects of an organization as a whole, is why I initially wanted to look at the question, how does culture impact learning in an organization? However, after using that as kind of a starting point and started, working around with ChatGPT to find ways to specifically tie culture to um, learning in an organization. And after going through some prompts and some dialogue, I felt the need to change or tweak my question slightly. So instead of how does culture impact learning in an organization, I decided to focus on how does developing a learning culture impact an organization? So, after extracting what I thought were some of the key elements, I'm now going to share those with you all. But also, before I start, I just wanted to bring up some of my work experience because I'll tie it into the presentation. So, I've had three really main roles that with organizations where I've experienced how culture affects just about everything. But during this presentation, I'm going to speak about Mathnasium Learning Centers, where I spent about 4 years there as a center director in Atlanta. I loved it. The organization was great, top to bottom. The next was my leadership role with Learning Care Group, where I experienced quite the opposite of that. And I left quickly after 6 months. And then now to my current role at King's Education in the King's Premium Universities division as a student academic success advisor for international students. And I'm finally experiencing an organization that seems like it's great top to bottom. So I'm really happy to be doing what I'm doing now. But anyways, sorry for that long introduction, but I worked with ChatGPT right on identifying the main points and collective understandings of my past experiences, the research that I did, and then of course our conversations back and forth, ChatGPT and I, to develop this wave one. And we are looking at this from a broad, teachable perspective. And starting off with just a quick agenda. So this would be the extraction of the key elements from the research, my experiences, chats with GPT, chats with ChatGPT. So we'll start off with just identifying a learning culture, just so it all makes sense together. Why a learning culture matters, learning culture and employee engagement, innovation and risk taking, talent development and retention, and then the role of leadership in the process as well. All right, so let's start off with the basics. A learning culture is an environment where continuous growth and improvement are encouraged every day. So it's different from traditional corporate training where learning is often periodic and reactive. For example, companies like Google and Netflix embedded learning into their daily operations through internal projects and peer-to-peer collaboration. So the overall key takeaway from this area of research is that a learning culture is ongoing, it's dynamic, and it builds growth into everyday work for everyone. So research shows that companies with a strong learning culture are more profitable, innovative, and productive. So Gallup found that organizations that invest in employee development are twice as likely to retain employees and see 11% higher profitability. Additionally, learning agility, employees' ability to continuously learn and adapt, makes organizations more resilient in times of change. So, Amazon is an example of a company that continuously upskills its employees to stay competitive, and we have all probably witnessed that success. So, the overall key takeaway from this area of research is that learning cultures are crucial for a long-term success. It's crucial for engagement and profitability. So only about 20% of employees feel engaged at work, and a lack of growth opportunities is a major contributor of that. So when an organization focuses on learning, engagement rises. And a LinkedIn study found that 94% of employees would stay longer at a company if it invested in their learning. And I know I can contest to that. I would rather stay at a company that invests in my learning. Which King's is doing now. And then, of course, in my experience at Mathnasium, the continuous learning approach kept our staff motivated and productive. Whereas at Learning Care Group, that lack of learning led to a lot of disengagement and mistrust and a whole slew of other things. But what's important about Mathnasium, I think the structure of everything, because it was so great at every level, I was poured into, I was invested into, and I was able to then pour into and invest in my staff and my students and my community. And that's why Mathnasium is so successful. You can see the authenticity, I think, full circle there. And yeah, it's just really great. But oh yeah, so sorry, got lost there. Anyway, so in the overall takeaway of this area of research is that learning is a key driver of employee engagement and job satisfaction. A learning culture fosters innovation by encouraging employees to experiment without fear of failure. So, this is called psychological safety, a concept developed by a Harvard professor, Amy Edmondson. In organizations with psychological safety, employees are more likely to take risks, which drives creativity and innovation. At King's Education right now, we've seen firsthand how this environment encourages us as advisors, but also us as advisors to our international students as they explore new ideas and all new ways of things, but leading to creative solutions and engagement as well. But the overall key area of this research here is that a learning culture nurtures innovation by providing a safe space for experimentation. So as technology advances, reskilling and upskilling are more important than ever. So according to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, 50% of employees will need reskilling. So a learning culture helps employees adapt and move laterally across the organization, making them more valuable and reducing turnover. So right now at King's Education, I've seen how fostering learning keeps students loyal and engaged with the organization, which creates positive feedback and conversation inside and outside of the organization. So I am able to see that, trickle down from the top to the bottom to the outside of the organization and all of that. So the overall key takeaway of this area of research is that continuous learning helps retain talent and ensures adaptability. And I've definitely witnessed that firsthand. So leadership is critical to fostering a learning culture. And just as a side note, so leadership is something that I am very interested in as it pertains to culture. It's probably something I spend my most time thinking about. So I read lots of leadership books when I'm not reading textbooks, and watch a lot of TED Talks and different things just about leadership and that kind of realm. So yeah, that's one reason I am involved in this MBA program, is because I want to improve my leadership skills and also get connected with really great leaders, and which is what the program has done the entire time through all the people in our cohort, to our professors, to the places we at our host organization. So just really grateful for that. Just a little tidbit of information. But anyways, so leaders need to set the tone by promoting learning as a core value. So a great example is Satya Nadella at Microsoft. So he embraced a growth mindset culture, which transformed Microsoft from a stagnant company to a leading innovator, as we all know. And just to bring Mathnasium up one more time, so as I talked about their culture, top to bottom, I followed suit, followed the leadership's example, and encouraged cross-functional learning. And that built a stronger, more engaged community all around, especially at my level and what I could see and like daily impact. So now I'm trying to do the same thing at King's in my current role. However, the roles are really different. So I'm just learning how to best use my skill set that I currently have, and how I can best use that to impact it all around the best that I can. So the overall key takeaway in this area of research is that leaders must model learning to embed it into the overall organization's DNA. So implementing a learning culture does come with its challenges, as do all great things mostly. So employees and leaders alike may resist change out of fear of comfort. That's pretty common, and I'm sure a lot of us have done that. And you can't really control how other people are going to feel or act when the time comes. All you can do is set the stage and prepare as much as you can and be the support along the way. So this is where change management really comes in. So by introducing small incremental changes and celebrating the successes along the way, companies can gradually shift their culture. And by providing that psychological safety is also such a critical component in the process, like I mentioned earlier. So the overall key takeaway from this area of research is that overcoming that resistance is going to require creating a safe environment and managing change incrementally. So a learning culture impacts an organization by driving engagement, innovation, talent retention, and companies that prioritize this learning will be better positioned to adapt to the future challenges of automation and AI and all that is to come. So this learning culture will create a resilient, competitive organization if it's done right. So as the quote goes, in times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. So people who are willing to keep learning and adapting will succeed when times change. Meanwhile, those who think they already know everything might struggle because their knowledge becomes outdated. It's about the importance of continuous learning, especially now. So, my overall key is that a learning culture is not just a competitive advantage, it's essential for thriving in today's evolving business landscape. So, thank you all for listening to that. If you made it through all 12 minutes, that's really cool. Just opening up the floor for questions and discussion. And if you need a prompt, I was thinking about using your own experience. Does your company have a learning culture? And if it does not, do you want that? So yeah, thank you all for listening to my presentation. I hope you have a great week.